Hello guys, this is my first video. I'm quite interested on cyber law. So I have made a presentation on cyber laws. In this video, I'm going to explain about the cyber laws and also we'll discuss many more topics in relation to cyber laws. We'll go to the first slide. The modern thief can steal more with a computer than with a gun. Tomorrow's terrorist may able to do more damage with a keyboard than with a bomb. The technological advancement, which was estimated to be a boon for mankind, has started casting a darker spell instead. Over the years, the cyber attacks have grown in leaps and bounds. Next, we'll see about introduction. In pre-1990, people were not connected, and in 1990, connecting people to information. In 2000, connecting people to people, and in 2020, everything is connected. In this world, internet is connecting more people at a faster rate than ever before. Mobile devices have enabled more people to be online all the time. The internet has turned our existence upside down. Today, just by a click, you will be updated up to the minute. Ours is a network, globalized society connected by new technologies. The internet is a tool to interact with one another and accordingly possesses new challenges to privacy and security. Information technologies have wrought fundamental change throughout the society, driving it forward from the industrial age to the networked era. Next, this is simply about how we were in the past and in the present. Next, what is cyber law? Cyber law is the law governing cyberspace. Cyber law is a term used to describe the legal issues related to the use of communications technology, particularly cyberspace. In other words, that is internet. Cyber law is also called as internet law, is the area of law that deals with internet's relationship to technological and electronic elements including computers, software, hardware and information systems. Cyber laws prevent or reduce large-scale damage from cybercriminal activities by protecting information access, privacy, communications, intellectual property, and freedom of speech related to the use of the internet, websites, emails, computers, cell phones, software and hardware such as data storage devices. Next, why do we need cyber law? Internet has dramatically changed the way we think, the way we govern, the way we do commerce, and the way we perceive ourselves. Cyber law is important because it touches almost all aspects of transactions and activities on involving the internet, World Wide Web, and cyberspace. Every action and reaction in cyberspace has some legal and cyber legal angles. Like any law, cyber law is created to help protect people and organizations on the internet from malicious people on the internet and help maintain order. If someone breaks a cyber law or rule, it allows another person or organization to take action against that person or have them sentenced to a punishment. And we are living in a highly digitalized world. All companies depend upon their computer networks and keep their valuable data in electronic form. Government forms including income tax returns, company law forms, etc. are now filed in electronic form. Consumers are increasingly using credit cards for shopping. Most people are using email, all social media, cell phones, SMS messages for communication. Even in non-cyber crime cases, important evidence is found in cybercrime and cell phones. Example, in cases of divorce, murder, organized crime, terrorist operations, counterfeit currency, etc. Since it touches all the aspects of transactions on and concerning the internet, the World Wide Web and cyberspace, therefore, cyber law is extremely important. Next, cyber law encompasses laws relating to cyber crimes, electronic or digital signatures, intellectual property, data protection and privacy. What is cybercrime? Cybercrime, called computer crime, is a crime that involves a computer and a network. It is a crime in which computer is the object or the tool to commit crimes or offense. Cybercrime through the internet has grown in importance as the computer has become central to commerce, entertainment and government. Next, who are cyber criminals? Cyber criminals are individuals or teams of people who use technology to commit malicious activities on digital systems or networks with the intention of stealing sensitive company information to access personal information, business, trade secrets, and generating profits. Criminals who perform these illegal activities are often referred to as hackers. Next, we'll see categories of cybercrime. There are 4 categories like cybercrimes against persons, cybercrime against property, cybercrime against government, cybercrimes against society. First, we'll discuss all cybercrimes against persons in detail. This type of cybercrime is committed against a person using an electronic domain as a medium. What is cyberstalking? Cyberstalking is the use of internet or other electronic means like email, phones, or text messages, webcam, websites or videos to stalk or threaten or harass an individual or group in a way that is annoying or frightening. It is expressed or implied a physical threat. There are several forms of cyberstalking like placing orders for delivery in someone else's name, gathering personal information on the victim, spreading false rumors. This includes accusation, defamation, slander and libel, hacking into online accounts, encouraging others to join in the harassment, etc. Next is email spoofing. Email spoofing is the forgery of an email that refers to email that appears to have been originated from one source when it was actually sent from another source. Such kind of crime can be done for reasons like defaming a person or for monetary gain, etc. Next, cyber spoofing. Spoofing is done by SMS is called SMS spoofing, which is similar to email spoofing. Next, email bombing. It is a malicious act of sending massive volumes of emails to a specific email address with a goal of overflowing the mailbox, and as a result of which their account or mail server crashes. Next is harassment via emails. This is very common type of harassment of sending violent offensive emails by letters, attachments of files, folders via email. At present, harassment is common as usage of social sites, that is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. increasing day by day. Next, spamming. It is the use of messaging systems to send an unsolicited message, especially advertising, as well as sending messages repeatedly on the same website to people who do not want to receive them. Next is hacking. It means unauthorized control or access over computer system, an act of hacking completely destroying the whole data as well as computer programs. Hackers usually hacks telecommunications and mobile networks. Next, child pornography. In this, cybercrime defaulters create, distribute or access materials that sexually exploit underage children. Next, dissemination of obscene material. Here a person commits the offense of distributing obscene material when he sells, gives, publishes to any person, especially to minor. Next, cyber defamation. Cyber defamation is not too much different than defamation provided in section 499 of Indian Penal Code. It is nothing but any derogatory statement which designed to injure a person's business or reputation constitutes cyber defamation. Defamation can be accomplished as libel or slander. Cyber defamation occurs when defamation takes place with the help of computers or the internet, as like someone publishes defamatory matter about someone on a website or sends email containing defamatory information to all. Next, unauthorized access or control over computer system. It means the use of a computer or network without permission by connecting to it and then logging in as a legitimate user. They merely access the data, valuable information or programs in the computer. They can be done by using keylogger. It is a software or hardware designed to record keyboard entries, thus stealing password or other sensitive data. Next is indecent exposure. Indecent exposure is the deliberate exposure in public or in view of the general public by a person of a portion or portions of their body in circumstances where the exposure is contrary to the local moral or other standards of appropriate behavior. Next, Cheating and online fraud. It is the breach of confidentiality. It refers to the act of cheating and stealing confidential details of victim, such as banking credentials, using phishing sites, and thereafter withdrawing money from victim's account. Example, online lottery scams. Next, cracking. It refers to digitally removing the copyright protection code that prevents copied or pirated software from running on computers that haven't been authorized to run it by the vendor of the software. The person who carries out this task is called as a cracker. Next is carding. Carding, also known as credit card stuffing and credit card verification, is a type of fraud in which a thief steals credit card number, makes sure they work, and then uses them to buy prepaid gift cards. The fraudsters may sell the prepaid cards or use them to purchase their goods, which in turn they can be resold for cash. Next is phishing. Phishing is the fraudulent attempt to obtain sensitive information such as usernames, passwords, and credit card details by distinguishing oneself as a trustworthy entity in an electronic communication. Next is assault by threat. It refers to threatening a person with fear for their lives or lives of their families through the use of computer network, that is videos or phones. Last is identity theft. Identity theft occurs when someone uses your personal information like name, online login and passwords, driver's license number, passport number or bank number to pretend to be you, to commit fraud or to gain financial benefits by selling it on the dark web. These are the cyber crimes that is committed against a person. Next we'll see about cyber crimes that is committed against a property. First is virus or worm attack. Virus is a program that attaches itself to a computer or a file and then circulates to other files and or to other computers on a network. They usually affect the data on a computer either by altering or by deleting it. Worms, unlike viruses, do not need the host to attach themselves. They merely make fundamental copies of themselves and do this repeatedly until they eat up all the available space on a computer's memory. This is one kind of trespass in the conventional crime. Next is cyber vandalism. Vandalism refers to action of involving deliberate destruction or damaging the data when a network server is unavailable. Next is cyber squatting. The term squatting means unlawfully occupying an uninhabited place. Cyber squatting is where two or more persons claimed for the same domain name or any service available on internet such as Facebook profile, etc. The hacker claims that he or she had first registered the name before the other person, or he or she is the owner for Twitter handle. Next is computer hacking system. This is about hacking government websites for collecting data and informations. Next is internet time theft. It is nothing but one kind of cheating. It is the use of an unauthorized person of the internet has paid for by the another person. The person who gets access to someone else's internet service provider, that is user ID and password, either by hacking or by gaining access to it by illegal means, uses it to access the internet without the other person's knowledge. You can identify time theft if your internet time has to be recharged often despite infrequent usage. Next is intellectual property crimes. Intellectual property consists of a bunch of rights. Any unlawful act by which the owner is deprived completely or partially of his rights is a crime. The most common type of IPR violation may be said to be software piracy, infringement of copyright, trademark, patents, designs and service mark violation, theft of computer source code, etc. Lastly, we will see what is Trojan horse attack. It is a type of malicious software developed by hackers to disguise as legitimate software to gain access to a target user's systems. Users are typically tricked by some attractive social media ads who then directed to malicious website, thereby loading and executing Trojans on their systems. It gains backdoor access to your systems. In this, we'll see cyber crimes against the government. First, cyber warfare. Cyber warfare refers to the use of digital attacks like computer viruses and hacking by one country to disrupt the vital computer systems of another with the aim of creating damage, death, and destruction. Next is cyber terrorism. It is the use of computer network tools to harm or shut down critical national infrastructures which occur electronically. Next is distribution of pirated software. Software piracy is the illegal copying, distribution, or use of software. It is such a profitable business that it has caught the attention of organized crime groups in a number of countries. Next is unauthorized possession of confidential personal information. And next is hacking into government systems. And next is cyber extortion. Cyber extortion is an online crime in which hackers hold your data, website, computer systems, or other sensitive information hostage until you meet their demands for payment. Next is denial of service attacks. It is an attack meant to shut down a machine or network, making it inaccessible to its intended users. DOS attacks accomplish this by flooding the target with traffic or sending it information that triggers a crash. Next, terrorist threats made via email. And lastly, introducing virus to vulnerable networks. Next, we'll see cybercrimes against society. First, cyber trafficking. It involves trafficking in drugs, human beings, arms, weapons, etc., which affects large number of persons. Next is online gambling. It generally means of using the internet to place bets on sports, games, etc. Bets are usually placed through credit card accounts and wins or loss are paid or collected accordingly. Next, forgery. Counterfeit currency notes, postage, and revenue stamps, mark sheets, etc. can be forged using sophisticated computers, printers, and scanners. Next is webjacking. It derives its name from hijacking. Here, the hacker takes the control of a website fraudulently. He may change the content of the original site or even redirect the user to another fake similar looking page controlled by him. Next is financial crimes. This would include cheating, credit card frauds, money laundering, etc. Last is sale of illegal articles. This category of cyber crimes includes sale of narcotics, weapons, and wildlife, etc. By posting information on websites auction and websites and boards, bulletin boards, or simply by using email communications. Next, cyber law includes electronic or digital signature. First, we'll see about electronic signature. According to the Electronic Signatures in Global and National Commerce Act, electronic signatures are an electronic sound, symbol, or process attached to or logically associated with a contract or other record and executed or adopted by a person with the intent to sign the record. Its authentication mechanism is it verifies signer's identity through email, phone, PIN, etc. It is used for verifying a document. Its security is vulnerable to tampering. Next, digital signature. It refers to a category of electronic signature that leverages algorithms to generate a unique digital fingerprint that is unique to each document. This that is unique. That is like a hash can be linked to the signer's identity. Digital signature can be visualized as an electronic fingerprint that is encrypted and identifies the person's identity who actually signed it. It is certificate-based digital ID. It is used for securing a document and it is highly secure. Next, digital signatures are usually created using the public key infrastructure system. These signature software leverage an algorithm to generate two keys, a private key and a public key, which are mathematically linked. Private key is allocated to an individual, which enables the user to fix a digital signature. Public key is unavailable to all who want to check authentication of records. These keys are provided by regulatory authorities and are unique. Next, benefits of digital signature is authentication and integrity. Drawbacks of digital signature is it doesn't provide certainty of date and time. In this slide, I have picturized the definition of digital signature. And next, we'll see what is intellectual property. It refers to a creation of the mind, such as inventions, literacy, and artistic works, designs and symbols, names, and images used in commerce. IP is protected by law by, for example, patents, copyrights, and trademarks, which enable them to earn recognition of financial benefits from which they invent or create. By striking the right balance between the interests of innovators and the wider public interest, the IP systems aims to foster an environment in which creativity and innovation can be flourish. Next, we'll see types of intellectual property. First, we'll see about copyright, and then we will move to next. Copyright is a legal term used to describe the right that creators have their own literacy and artistic works. Works covered by copyright range from books, music, paintings, sculpture, and films to computer programs, databases, advertisements, maps, and technical drawings. Next, trademarks. Trademarks is a sign capable of distinguishing the goods or services of one enterprise from those of the other enterprises. Trademarks date back to ancient times when artisans used to put their signature or mark on their products. Next, we'll see patents. A patent is an exclusive right granted for an invention. Generally speaking, a patent provides the patent owner with the right to decide how or whether the invention can be used by others. In exchange for this right, the patent owner makes technical information about the invention publicly available in the published patent document. Next, we'll see about industrial designs. An industrial design constitutes the ornamental or aesthetic aspect of an article. A design may consist of three-dimensional features such as the shape or the surface of an article, or of two-dimensional features such as patterns, lines, or color. Next, we'll see about geographical indications. Geographical indications and appellations of origin or signs used on goods that have a specific geographical origin and possess qualities, a reputation, or characteristics that are essentially attributable to that place of origin. Most commonly, a geographical indication includes the name of the place of origin of the goods. Next, we'll see about trade secrets. That is the last type of intellectual property. Trade secrets are IP rights on confidential information which may be sold or licensed. The unauthorized acquisition, use, or disclosure of such secret information in a manner contrary to honest commercial practices by others is regarded as an unfair practice and a violation of the trade secret protection. Next, cyber law encompasses data protection and privacy. Data protection and privacy laws aim to achieve a fair balance between the privacy rights of the individual and the interests of the data controllers such as banks, hospitals, email service providers, etc. These laws seek to address the challenges to privacy caused by collecting, storing, and transmitting data using new technologies. Next, we'll see about Information Technology Act. that is IT Act 2000 in short form. The in the Information Technology Act 2000, that is IT Act, came into force on 17th October 2000. The primary purpose of this act is to provide legal recognition to electronic commerce and to facilitate filing of electronic records with the government. Information Technology Act 2000 originally consisted of 94 sections segregated into 13 chapters and 4 schedules. The last 4 sections, namely sections 91 to 94 in the IT Act 2000, deals with the amendments to the Indian Penal Code, the Evidence Act, the Bankers Books Evidence Act, and the Reserve Bank of India Act were deleted. Next, we'll see about the snapshots of important cyber law provisions in India. The sections and the offences under the Indian Penal Code 1860. Sections 503, 506, 507 of Indian Penal Code 1860 deals with sending threatening messages by emails or chat, in which section 503 explains about criminal intimidation, in which section 507 explains criminal intimidation by an anonymous communication, in which section 506 gives punishment for criminal intimidation. Section 463, 464, 465, 468 and 469 deals with forgery of electronic records, email spoofing, in which section 463 defines forgery. Section 464 deals with making a false document. Section 468 deals with the forgery for purpose of cheating. Section 469 deals with forgery for purpose of harming reputation. Section 465 gives punishment for forgery. And section 420 deals with bogus websites, cyber frauds, and cheating and dishonesty inducing delivery of property. Section 383 deals with webjacking under extortion. Section 384 gives punishment for extortion. Section 499, 500, 509 deals with email abuse, online defamation, in which section 499 explains about defamation, and 500 gives punishment for defamation, and section 509 deals with word, gesture or act intended to insult the modesty of a woman, and section 354C defines voyeurism as including the act of capturing the image of a woman, engaging in a private act or on disseminating said image without her consent. Next, section 354D defines stalking, which also covers cyber stalking. Section 378 relating to theft of mobile property will also apply to the theft of any data online. Section 379 gives punishment for theft. And next, section 292, 292A, 293, 294 deals with obscenity, in which section 292 explains the sale, etc. of obscene books, etc. Section 292A defines printing, etc. of grossly indecent or scurrilous matters or matter intended for blackmail. Section 293 defines sale, etc. of obscene objects to young person. Section 294 defines obscene acts and songs. And next we'll see Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985 deals with online sale of drugs. Arms Act 1959 deals with online sale of arms. Section 51, 63, 63B of Copyright Act 1957 deals with piracy. And next we will see sections and offences under Information Technology Act 2000. 65 deals with tampering with computer source code documents. Section 63 read with Section 43 related to computer related offences. 66B is related to receiving stolen computer or communication device. Section 66C using password of another person identity theft. 66D cheating using computer resource. 66E publishing private images of others. 66F deals with acts of cyber terrorism. 67 publishing information which is obscene in electronic form. 67A deals with publishing images containing sexual acts. 67B deals with publishing child porn or predating children online. Section 67C deals with failure to maintain records. And next, section 68 deals with failure or refusal to comply with orders. And next, section 69 deals with failure or refusal to decrypt data. And next, section 70 deals with securing access or attempting to secure access to a protected system. 71 deals with misrepresentation. 72 deals with for the breach of confidentiality and privacy. Section 72A deals with for disclosure of information in breach of lawful contract. Publishing, and section 73 at lastly deals with the publishing electronic signature certificate falls in certain particulars. And section 66A has been removed. There is one such incident. There is one such incident related to the section happened recently. A 21-year-old girl in Maharashtra, a girl was arrested on 19th November 2012 for posting a message on Facebook that crisis the shutdown in Mumbai due to funeral of Bal Thackeray, that is the former chief Shiv Sena political party in Maharashtra. Also, her friend was arrested liking the post. Initially, they were arrested under section 295A of the Indian Penal Code, that stands for hurting religious sentiments, and section 66A of Information Technology Act 2000. However, later a local court dropped all charges against the girls. And there is also a case that is Shreya Shingal versus Union of India. In this case, the Supreme Court struck down the section 66A, saying that it is violative of Article 19. So this is all about my view and my lectures on cyber laws. So thank you for watching this.